Hello, welcome back. It's Silly Goose Book Club. My dog will be crying probably. You can't see her. She's just out of frame right there. Elizabeth is here with possibly also some pet friends.
There may be some shenanigans.
Yes, so this is a furry friend book club live show. Thank you for being here. I know that I look chaotic. I spent the afternoon by the pool, and all of a sudden it was like, it's time for book club. So this is this is what you get. Book club in July. We're here. We're vibing. It's time for Scorched Grace. So excited. Thank you, Elizabeth, for being here. Do you want to tell the people who you are, what you read, what the vibes are like?
I'm Elizabeth. I have a channel that's Museum Grack Reads. I do a lot of science fiction, some romance, and kind of anything that strikes my fancy, which can be a lot of different things depending on the day, my mood, and the position of the sun in the sky. Who knows? But that's usually what I tend to cover.
Amazing. I love it. I'm so glad that you agreed to read this book with me. It was like, I don't know that I've really heard much about it yet. I feel like I think it just kind of came out, so maybe I'll hear more throughout the year, but it sounded like such a different book, and I'm not someone who reads a lot of mysteries. I don't know that you are either. I feel like you read probably more mysteries than me, but I don't know if it's your like top genre.
No, but it is a genre that I feel like has been in my life for as long as I can remember because my mother is a massive mystery reader. So growing up in a small town, I didn't have a ton of bookstores or libraries, so I would read what was ever on her shelf, and it was a lot of Agatha Christie and Sue Grafton and those sorts of, especially female written mysteries. And watching a lot of British mysteries, and there is a subgenre in the cozy mystery field that is mysteries solved by members of the clergy.
What?
So yeah, it's a whole thing. So when you suggested this, it was like such a like weird nostalgia thing for me that I was like, yes, I want to read that.
That is super weird. That is super weird. I'm glad it
It's
worked
like
out that
taking
way.
a trope from my childhood and like making it queer and badass.
Yeah, how did that match up? Like, was it nostalgic in a good way, or was it like doesn't quite get there?
I think this one was very interesting for me. My mother was Catholic, but I grew up very heavily evangelical. So I think a lot of the very deep, like religious moments where she's grappling with her faith or the faith of others, really, I found very interesting and not nostalgic.
Uh-huh.
But the general plot and premise and the nun fighting crime definitely hit a nostalgic bone for me.
Yeah, nuns fighting crime is not something that I knew that I needed, but I did. I did.
Especially
Nuns
tattooed nuns
crime
fighting
was
crime.
way too much fun. Yes.
Queer
So fun.
tattooed nuns fighting
Queer
crime.
tattooed nuns with a troubled past fighting
And a
crime.
gold tooth.
Yeah, and a gold tooth. I know. What a character.
Gold tooth is like the cherry on top, really.
It's like, how more specific and unique can we possibly make her? And it was like all these little details. I loved Sister Holiday.
Oh, so much.
Me 2 days early seeing the scheduled BRB while I binged the audiobook despite owning the book and not being able to annotate.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm actually really sad I didn't do the audiobook only because it was narrated by Mara Wilson, the actress who played Matilda in the movie from my childhood, at least. And she's amazing narrator. Yeah.
Okay. So I did listen to the audiobook and read it physically so that I could go faster. And I would never have picked up that that was the person who played Matilda.
Like she's almost got like a smoky, sultry voice as an adult.
It was very well performed and also very like slow. I've never read an audiobook on such a high speed in my life. I've read this audiobook at like three times speed.
Oh, wow.
Which is not something I ever do. But it was so if you look up the audiobook and it says 10 hours, that's probably like a normally 7-hour audiobook. But I just felt like it was read very slowly, not in a bad way, just in like I feel really cool and good about myself for being able to put it so fast, you know?
The only thing I've read that she's narrated was the Faceless Old Woman Who Secretly Lives in Your Home, which is the third book written by the Night Vale creators. And she plays the secret old woman the faceless old woman who secretly lives in your home. And like her slow cadence really worked with that story.
That sounds like a vibe of its own.
Surprisingly, it's a pirate story.
Wouldn't have guessed.
Neither would I when I started it.
Oh my gosh. Sarah's here. Hello. Welcome to the show. I read this book 2 months ago. Here we go. See, okay, we were just talking backstage. I just finished the book like an hour ago. Liz also just finished the book like an hour ago. There's been very few co-hosts of Silly Goose Book Club who I feel have been like prepared in advance. For some reason, it's just how it goes.
We just keep it fresh, Noelle.
We do keep it fresh. It is very top of mind. That has been the project of my day, is reading the rest of this book. Oh, Sunday. Yeah, she's having a day herself. Amazing. She joined me for the pool day, living her best life, truly.
Big baby.
Did not finish, still at 43%. Honestly, that's an okay place to be. I feel like there was the first half to me just felt like setup, and then slowly things started clicking into place after that.
Yeah, it was a lot of red herring buildup in the first.
A lot of red herring buildup. We won't get into spoilers like quite yet, but do you want to talk about what you rated it? Did you rate it?
I haven't rated it yet, but I definitely think it's gonna be probably around a 4-ish. Like I had a good time with it. It wasn't groundbreaking, so like a 3.5, 4 is probably my sweet spot on it. Like I liked a queer nun solving a mystery. It felt all the coziness that I needed it to be.
Yes.
But it wasn't like oh my gosh, I'm gonna reread this. I need to keep it on my trophy shelf forever and ever kind of 5-star moment for me. How about you?
Yeah, I loved like all the novelty about it. It felt like nothing I've ever read before. Like a queer nun solving an arson mystery. Like definitely that's a first for me. But I don't know that it was like the most amazing story I've ever read. I think I'm also in the same range, like 3 to 4-ish. Somewhere in there.
I like that. I was like, it was nothing groundbreaking except it being queer for me. And you're like, it was so new. Because
it was, I mean, I don't read a lot of mysteries. I think I could count on one hand, like the mysteries and thrillers combined. So
like, I've just been exposed to a lot of clergy fighting crime.
Yeah. That's so fun.
Like,
I have no
medieval
idea.
clergy fighting crime. There was a show that my mother used to watch that meant I used to watch it. That was Father Caulfield, and it was literally like a monk in the Middle Ages fighting crime, or like solving mysteries.
So fun.
So weird.
I love it. That's so fun. The thought that I had maybe like 2/3 of the way through the book, where we're just starting to like put some things together, was it was like Scooby-Doo for grown-ups. Like, yeah, like campy but fun, but with real consequences. Like there are corpses, but like I don't know, it felt like fun and weirdly nostalgic Scooby-Doo for grown-ups.
Yeah, it felt very caperish. There was surprisingly a lot of journeying and like big chases at times, unexpectedly. We even had a dog. We had a dog, so it was like Scooby-Doo, and a cat. We had Bontemps, and we had Voodoo, the cat.
Yeah, I don't know why I forgot about the dog. I was thinking like, oh, there was cat. That's funny. We did have animals.
I had a very clear image of the dog in my brain, especially at a certain moment. That would be.
Yeah, it's like a white pit bull, and there's a moment in the book where she's referred to as like a firm loaf. And I was like, that's now it perfectly envisioned in my head as this firm loaf of like a white pit bull.
And that he never docked her ears. So she had the big floppy pit bull ears.
Yep.
Because otherwise, if you didn't dock their ears, they look too cute. She
Uh-huh.
talked about that as a thing. I really enjoyed her descriptive language. It kind of felt like a cozy blanket, how she would just sort of layer things on. Although I did get a little sick of her describing how hot it was because I'm in South Texas and it's bloody hot.
You're like, I get it.
Like,
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. I'm sorry. It's hot. It's hot everywhere. I'm sorry.
So I see. So I read most of this like in the pool today. So I was like, it is hot, correct? But I am loving life. Like I have a seltzer and an umbrella, and I'm currently in the pool, so it didn't bother me.
Yeah, I started June with my AC going out for a week, so I was like, too soon.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, she writes very like dense and descriptive setting, which I really enjoyed. Sometimes it's just nice to luxuriate in the language.
And I love that it was in New Orleans. Like it very much had a certain energy to it, like not spookiness, but like the like Catholic convent and school and like in the South in New Orleans, like it had a definite sense of place that I really enjoyed.
Well, and the complexity of that space too,
Mhm.
right? New Orleans isn't just one thing, and we think of New Orleans as the Mardi Gras
Yes.
city and party central, but there's this deep Catholic rooting there, and the mysticism of it, and all of these different ideologies are kind of combating each other, but living together in a harmony at the same time. And you see that with the nuns naming the cat Voodoo,
Yes.
and just sort of accepting this as part of our community and our culture.
Yeah, I mean, even Sister Holiday as a character herself is like so many almost paradoxical things about her own character where it's like, oh, yeah, okay, I guess that makes sense. Or other characters challenging things like, well, you can't be a nun because, and she very quickly fires back like either something from scripture or some other like philosophy or something from her life where she's like, actually, this is so irrelevant that it really was. It like I felt like New Orleans was the perfect place for the story to be told.
Well, and I think she was such an interesting character in that sense too, right? If you're looking at this almost as a lens, her religious journey, it's so fascinating because it shows that religion isn't any one thing. Your
Mhm.
Catholic experience doesn't have to be any one thing, and her experience of faith and is very different from her sisters in
Yes.
that. And I thought that was really a beautiful way of explaining it, and that she was looking for absolution, but didn't necessarily need to find it exactly as everybody else did.
Yes. And I want to talk about the four main sisters more also because they all had such a specific and different expression of their faith and like the way that they were practicing that I think is we got to unpack. But
Yeah.
also love the book stacks next to you. Really
Oh, yeah.
cool.
I have a haul video I have to film before I could put these up. And they're here. So I figured
Yes.
it made I had a birthday. Thank you. So
Yes.
if I put them with the other books, then I'll forget what I need to gather again. So they just live here until it's done.
Oh, same. Let me see if I can scooch over. You could see this stack, right? It just keeps going. That's the top
Oh,
of the stack. Yonder is the wrap up that I haven't filmed for months, and the whole other half of the
yep.
shelf there. I do the same
Yep.
thing.
I get a wrap up stack. This is the haul
The
stack.
haul stack,
And then
yes.
there's the TBR stack that I'll start prepping for next month.
Yep. Yep, I get it. It was a great audiobook. JK, I read it physically, but I'm sure it was great. It was fun. I would never have known it was like an actor that I enjoy, but it was a fun audiobook. I shall be prepared for a month. I respect it. I respect it. Wait, can you give us a tour of the kittens? Who do you have?
Oh, they're all asleep right now, but except for this one. And this one, yeah, this is my little girl. She's the only girl. Whoop. And she actually recently tried to claim my dad. My parents are wanting to adopt one of these kittens, so they came over to hang out with them. And she spent 10 minutes rubbing her whole body on the top of his head. Like, please pick me, choose me, love me.
So cute. Do you have names for them, or have you like not?
They came with really dumb names, and I refused to use them.
What are your names for them?
She's the pretty little princess, because when they got ringworm, she didn't lose any hair. She didn't get it.
Okay.
And then this one's the lion face boy.
Oh.
He's very sleepy. This one's the bat boy, because he's got a skinny face, which you can't see because of bad lighting. They're all just like, why are you waking us up?
Yeah,
why?
How dare you? I love this so much.
And then I have one fluffy one.
Look at him. Oh my gosh.
Like, he's a little bit of a long hair boy. But he lost so much hair during the ringworm, like it's all still trying to grow back. So he was the gremlin for a while because he was so patchy.
The
gremlin. He's like, why? Why am I here? What's happening?
I'd like to return to my nap.
So they're all asleep again. As soon as I put them back down, they're like, and out.
You're like, that's enough. Oh my gosh. So cute. I loved that we had Voodoo was a black cat, right?
Voodoo was a black cat.
Yeah, such a good black cat name.
Oh yeah, for sure.
3.5. Okay, so we're all in the same range.
I'm just glad that I wasn't here for a like shallow water kind of.
Oh, a total flop?
Yeah.
I don't think it was.
It was a fun live show.
Yes. There's only been a couple books that have been like flops with the book club so far, and even then I feel like those have been some of the most fun. Bless you.
Thank you.
Some of the most fun live shows. It's like, it's always fun. It's almost more fun to talk about a book you didn't like, you know, because it's like, and this
read it.
And this so yeah, I'm never upset when it's like, a book club book, whatever. Also, yeah, it is roasty toasty. I'm sure the South is even worse because we have dry heat here. We don't really have to deal with humidity, and I know that's a whole other beast.
Yeah, it's not fun. We get humidity come and go here. We're kind of not close enough for it to be constant like a Houston.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's
disgusting. Rough. It's the armpit of hell.
The armpit of hell. Only the broken want to break others. Yeah, there was this quote in the book where they talk about like specifically motivations of arsonists, and it was something like, I think it was revenge, control, and money, which was like, oh, interesting. And that's before we know anything about really like the potential suspects or anything, where it's just planted it like you as the reader are like, oh, who would want those things?
Who has this potential?
Very interesting. She's the chosen one.
No, she was the chooser. She chose him.
Oh,
she's like, you're mine, sir. I'll have to send you the video because my dad looks like Kenny Rogers. So it's just like Kenny Rogers sitting there with a black kitten on his snow white hair, just rubbing her whole body.
Oh my gosh. Now they have to adopt her. That's like, she made the decision.
Yeah, you're mine. And he let her do it for like 10 minutes.
Oh, so cute.
My eyes are watering. Oh, yeah. Come on down, Sarah. You can have him. He's also like, he's a little sleepy right now, but like he's pretty down for anything. He's kind of ragdolly.
Oh, the boy.
Yeah, he's a pretty sweet, even temperamented little one.
Aw, Sarah, sorry, I don't make the rules. You have to have that cat now.
Yeah. Come on down. I'll have him all packed up for you.
Come on down. Oh man, should we go into spoilers? Forewarning, if anyone doesn't want to hear spoilers, this might be the time, the moment. But yeah, there's lots of things. I mean, it being a mystery, like I don't want to give anything away just in case. Did you have any guesses? Like what were your predictions reading through?
Well, I knew it wasn't going to be the handyman buddy because they leaned too hard on Bernard, right? They leaned too hard on him from the very beginning.
Bernard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I knew very quickly that it wasn't going to be him.
Bye, have fun. See ya.
But I will say there was a brief moment around when we found out how her mother died that I was like, is she having a psychotic break? Is this going to be an unreliable narrator and she's the one who's doing it? And
I
doesn't
had the same
realize.
moment. I had the same moment because so I think this is also the author's debut. So it was like, I don't know how much nuance there will be, or like so much nuance and it's an unreliable situation. Like, I don't know, because all the other surrounding characters, it was like, I feel like we're laying it on kind of thick. I don't know. So I was prepared to be surprised by anything. And then when we found out the reveal, like you said, like her mom in the van and everything, it was like, oh shit, I don't know. But I did predict who it was going to be purely because I was like, that's the only person that we are not supposed to be suspicious of. The only character that never had any fingers pointed at her. And I was like, huh, that
is too good. It was suspicious.
It's too suspicious.
Was it the person you most medium suspected?
Most medium suspected?
Oh, sorry. It's an Office reference.
No, I didn't really watch The Office.
Yeah, they do a murder mysteries. Like, it's always the person you most medium suspect.
Oh, no, I didn't really suspect. So that's the thing is, like, I felt like we were really supposed to suspect, like, a lot of people.
Yeah.
So there was someone that we were very much so not to even be, like, thinking about. And I was like, this feels too extreme. Like, there's, like, all these people you should be paying attention to. Don't they all seem suspicious?
Yeah. And then she was almost like emotional wallpaper.
Yeah.
Like, you knew that Sister Holiday had an emotional tie to her and that she felt bolstered by this sister's faith in her. But when everything was going on, she was like a set piece in terms of how she was playing into things beyond Prince.
Yes. Well, yeah, like Sister Holiday, even, it was like, one never would have thought to look at, was it Antoinette? Augustine. She never even, that was like the one person that she wasn't even looking at, but also like she herself, like Sister Holiday during the investigation was like, girl, you need to like cool it. Like you're doing too much. Like you are making yourself look bad. Like it was, which was kind of the point. It was like just getting more and more into trouble, trying to get herself out of trouble, and continuously being like, you mess with the crime scene again? Why are you always here? Why is it always
Why was she messing with the crime scene like, so often?
Like, chill out. Like, can you just talk to the police first? But so it was like her kind of messing things up, and then also never thinking to think about the one person that she didn't suspect. It was like, I don't know. It was like fun and campy, but not the most like innovative mystery structure.
Because it wasn't super groundbreaking, but I mean, I think she did a really good job in terms of giving Sister Holiday a three-dimensional character. Maybe not everybody else, but we all have a blind spot. We all have a person that we're not gonna see the faults and we're not going to think badly of them. And Augustine was her blind spot to her detriment. And the fact that everything, the whole relationship was about this, that was kind of a gut punch for me.
That was wild. That was like a true blaze of glory, no pun intended. Just like the whole everything was for this unhinged vision mission that she was on. It was like, whoa. This is a lot. Yeah.
Sister Holiday thought she was having a moment where she could seek forgiveness, somebody who believed in her and saw a goodness in her, and it was nothing. Like,
yeah,
you could feel the bottom drop out for her.
That was a lot. That was a lot. Down for anything, I'm in. Ella might execute him though. They would be buddies, maybe frenemies.
Yeah.
So anticlimactic. You know, that's why I took stars off. It felt I wanted a little bit less red herrings on everyone else and just like a tiny bit on Augustine. If there had just been a single red herring pointing to Augustine
Yeah.
or anything, any clue, I would have been like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. But it just felt like, I don't know. It just felt like she was the only one we weren't supposed to be looking at.
And I think the only thing that saved that reveal at all for me was the emotional hit of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the motivations behind Augustine was like that was a reveal. That was like unpacking.
Yeah.
Like she had this very level-headed, very like faithful, graceful, like mother superior vibe that when when you peeled back the layers, it was like, it's my godly mission to send people to their graves, was like, okay.
Yeah. And literally
like,
went out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah. Like that was wild. But like her being the suspect was like, okay, I did see that coming just by like the law of, I don't know. I guess
the rules of mysteries.
Yeah. I know. I was more of a Parks and Rec girly. I was.
It took me a while before I watched the US Office because I had watched the original. And I thought when it first started airing that, like most British imports, it was only going to last a season and it was going to be terrible. And then it went on for 10, so joke's on me.
I mean, I've seen The Office. I just haven't watched it through. I've like seen episodes here and there.
It's a good one if you ever like end up with COVID again or the flu and you can't function to read and you just need to lay there and watch something that is mindless. Yep. Office is a good one for that. I also did that with Friends one year when I got the flu. I watched all of Friends.
I did that with Friends in college, like when I was super sick. Like the one time I got just so sick in college, I watched the entirety of Friends in like a week. That was a time. The whole boy sneaks off to make out with boys secretly. I ate it up.
I liked those little boys.
Those little boys. I know. And just like because that was the first fire. So then it's like the two boys that she saves from the first fire. And then like later on in the book is like, what were you guys even doing in there? And it all kind of comes out that they're like, oh, well, my parents disowned me and now I'm homeless and this is where I sleep. And like, the boy that I'm seeing was visiting me. It's like this very like sad, very like weirdly heartwarming safe space kind of story. Like this, like a queer boy going to Catholic school confides in like the queer nun, and the nun is like, "You're gonna be okay, honey." It's like very precious. Yeah.
Well, and the whole scene where she finds them too was very dramatic.
Oh
and
my
like
God.
the panicking.
Yeah.
Because she couldn't carry them both out at the same time. Because come on, you are two teenage boys and she is one little nun. Jesus does not give you super strength. Being married to God does not help you lift things over your head like the Hulk.
True. Side note question. Hold on, don't disrespect The Office.
I'm not disrespecting it. I enjoy it. I also was more of a Parks and Rec girl. But I enjoyed The Office and I quoted a lot. But it's not something you have to think about too hard while you're watching it.
I don't dislike it. I just never got into it. I've enjoyed what I've seen of it, but my like sitcom of choice of that era was Parks and Rec.
I think after this, you should definitely watch the murder mystery episode at least, because that's hilarious.
Okay. What was the janitor's name? Was it like the one that lived or the one that died?
Yeah, because it was John and Bernard, right?
John. Yeah, was John the one that died?
No, was John the teacher, the non.
Oh, John was the teacher. It was Bernard and
Jack. That's why I thought it was John. It's essentially the same name.
Yeah, Jack was the one that died. And Bernard was the one that lived. Yes. Picking one of them and the other being offended, like, sir, he's actively bleeding out.
You have a sprained ankle and he is bleeding out.
Yeah. There were so many, like, those were the moments that it was like, this is Scooby-Doo. Like, this is like so silly. I wouldn't have been surprised because everyone was kind of suspicious, but it was like, look, aren't they suspicious? I wouldn't have been surprised if there was like a pull the mask off and it was the science teacher. You know, it had
They
that.
tried to lead us towards her. Okay, but here's my thing with the science teacher and John. I kept thinking we were going to find out they were having an affair.
Well, I thought Holiday and the science teacher were going to hook up.
Well, she was definitely lusting after the science teacher quite a bit, but it felt like the science teacher and John were like leaving around the same time, or they were in the same place at the same time. They had like a alliance happening. So when we found out John was just an alcoholic because of all of the things going on in his life, I was like, oh, that's not the direction I thought we were going with that.
Interesting. I don't know. That went way over my head. But I thought
it's probably just me, but like they kept being in the same place at the same time, so that was where I thought it was going.
Oh yeah, no, I thought that Sister Holiday was gonna have like a conflicting "does this break my vows" hookup with.
Yes, it would.
What's her name? Rosemary. Yeah.
But she's not a full-fledged nun, so we do know that. So she's if you ever watched Sister Act, she's like the little redhead who's not in the full nun outfit.
Because they said like she hasn't taken her permanent vows yet, so I was like, okay, I get that. But
there's a name for it, but I don't remember it because I'm not Catholic.
Me either. I was like, this is all new to me. But yeah,
like that. There's the little redheaded nun with the good voice in Sister Act, who's not in the full nun habit, and that's because she's this type of nun who has taken a primary vow to like test it out and see if she wants to take full orders.
Gotcha. It was fun because and towards the end of the book too, she kind of explains, I think, to Nina, like her ex, who like visits at one point and is like, well, I'm still queer. I'm just like celibate. And then it's like, oh yeah, okay. So then like we get her inner monologue of like lusting after the science teacher or like reflecting on her time with Nina. And that was like, I really enjoyed that element of the book.
Yeah. Just because you've taken orders doesn't mean that you're suddenly asexual.
Yeah, exactly. It was like you still are the way, like that's part of the sacrifice is like you are now like married to your work, as she said. My side question is, have you read Project Hail Mary? I have not, but I feel like Liz has.
I loved it. I loved it so much. I'm about to reread it in audiobook because I've never regretted so much reading a book physically as I did when I got to the end of Project Hail Mary. Like I so wanted to have experienced that in audio. So I got it in the Audible sale and I'm going to be doing that soon.
Oh my gosh. I'm so intrigued. Like that was like some Spider-Man action from that.
Yeah, they get a little wild. There's going to be some parkour when they wake up. So.
Gotcha. Very fun. But yeah, I don't even know what that could possibly mean. The fact that you wished you would have read it on audio at the end is interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think you'll like it. Honestly, I've just recently read The Martian because I didn't read it when it came out because I watched the movie first and was like, I feel like I've gotten all of that. And having read that, yes, I do feel like I got everything I needed out of The Martian from the movie. But this was such a strong showing from Andy Weir. Like this was much stronger in terms of just overall balance and solid character. And I think you'll enjoy it. It has a lot of heart that you don't expect it to have.
I think I will read it. It's just for some reason it's never like the top of my mind, but it is, it is on the list.
Yeah.
I'll get there.
I will say though, the audio is an Audible original. It's one of those irritations.
Okay.
No.
Well, we'll see.
But like, I could maybe just send you my login.
Now we're thinking. Would have loved it.
I know a gal who has access.
I know a gal. I felt like we kind of got an affair storyline though in like the flashbacks.
Oh,
because
yeah,
like
did.
because like Nina was married the whole time, and they were like hooking up whenever her husband left. Like when did I know that Sister Holiday talked about when the marriage happened, but I felt like it was early.
I think it was after she screwed over the band.
Right.
And before her mother died.
Yes. Yeah. So right. So she like sabotaged the band's success and they split up. And then Nina and her husband got married and Holiday did not go to the wedding. Or she did.
No, she did. She didn't show up for the vows. She showed up to the reception and like stomped the shit out of a decoration.
Right. Yes. Because I remember reading like I didn't RSVP. I didn't go to the vows, and then I like showed up wasted and to the reception or something like that. Yeah. And then they continued to hook up every time he was away, including when her mom got sick.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in their bed, in their marital bed, she and Nina broke Nina's bed while he was out of town, and they talked about how it was never the same again.
Yep.
Like, how do you explain that one to your husband when he comes home?
Right. I don't know. It just happened. Yeah. That's a tough one.
Don't make furniture like they used to, I guess. Oops.
Oh, God. Sister Holiday did put all law enforcement to shame, though. See, okay, I also thought that we were going to have a Sister Holiday and what was her name?
The fire investigator.
She had a funny name. I thought they were going to have a moment. And then we never...
Yeah, and then you found out she was just married and addicted to prescription painkillers.
Yes, which was a twist, but not necessarily satisfying. I was like, that's... Oh. You know,
especially we'd already had the alcoholic twist. Like, we'd already found out about John's addiction.
Yes. Which, right, because Holiday finds out on accident. And then she also finds out intuitively, I guess, kind of for free, where she, like, addressed it. What was it? Revo?
Yes. I was trying to find it, but it was definitely like a Creole kind of name.
Yeah, but I felt like we didn't really get any... I'm sure it was there. I just... probably the point is that I wasn't paying attention or wasn't looking for the signs. But she just, at one point, is like, are you high right now? And it's like,
honestly, I didn't pick up on any of them either. I thought that came out of nowhere.
I felt like it kind of did too. And maybe...
John's made sense.
John's made total sense. Like, kind of thinking about, like, his character. I did not pick up on Revo at all until after they'd had the conversation. And then when she's, like, going to arrest Sister Augustine and then going to arrest Sister Holiday for, like, aiding and abetting and, like, that whole thing, it's like, oh, okay, you do have these, like, two sides to you. That was pretty devious. And then, like, everything goes to shit. But I didn't see it before then at all.
Yeah. No, I didn't notice it at all. At all. But I had such a problem with how Sister Holiday handled John. Like, even if you suspect that he might have had something to do with the fire, like, she was so desperate for Sister Augustine to see her doing something good that she immediately turned an alcoholic teacher into the cops.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, bro, why is your coffee vodka?
Yep.
Like, the moment he's like, no, but my wife needs insurance. I was like, oh shit, the American healthcare system strikes again.
Yeah, dude. And she even, like, immediately feels bad. Like, in her inner monologue, she's like, oh, I could have handled that much better. And it's like, yeah, dude.
But, like, also, would the cops have immediately come in and been like, we need to talk to you because you're drinking on the job? Because it wasn't like, we need to talk to you because we suspect you of murder. Like, I don't think that was realistic.
No, probably because maybe they were already around, but it was like at the same time, don't you think they were a little busy with like, the triple arson murder investigation
Yeah.
to be like, we're gonna take this old man away for drinking on the job. That felt like just like moving the plot along to me a little bit.
Yeah. Then he just looks at her, he's like, but she's my friend. She wouldn't turn me in.
It was you? Yeah.
Like that all felt just a little cheesy, a little hokey.
It was a little cheesy. And honestly, like, I'm okay with a campy mystery. Maybe because I haven't read many of them that nothing feels cliche for me as far as mysteries go. It's like, ooh, I'm still in single digits of mysteries that I've ever read. So nothing is overdone as far as my like reading mystery taste. But I'm sure that there were some.
Now I want to challenge you to read my favorite mystery.
What's your favorite?
It's one of my favorite books of all time, and it is technically a mystery. But you cannot watch the movie before you read the book. So if you've already seen the movie, it's not worth it. But it's Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier.
I have not seen the movie, and I definitely want to read it. So I will read it.
Yeah, it was written in the 1930s. It's all told from a narrator's perspective, and you never find out her name. The main character of the book never gets a name.
Love it. I love it.
And it's the first book that I ever read all night long. Like I remember picking it up in high school to read before bed, and then my dad coming in the next morning being like, okay, it's time for school, as I'm like finishing the book.
Damn. Wow, that's crazy. I know that my friend Brittany from Literarily Smitten, that's like one of her favorite books. So it's been on my radar purely from her. And I guess I don't know, maybe because she reads more like historical. I think I thought it was more like a historical type of classic, but if it's mystery.
Yeah, it's definitely a mystery. And I think people think of it as historical because it was written in the 30s. And it is of that time. So it's written for that time. So for us, it's historical, but for her, it was contemporary when she was writing it.
Interesting. That sounds super fun. Yeah, mystery is pretty new for me, but it's fun to see. I just love like the structure of it. Yeah. Like it is just not bare bones, but it's really just like stripping back what storytelling is like you have a beginning, middle, and end, and there are characters, and there is setting, and there are twists and clues. Like that is just storytelling, and I love it. And I would love to read more, especially more.
And this one, Rebecca's super atmospheric too. It's got like a gothic feeling atmosphere. And after you read it, then you need to watch not the new version because it's got the cannibal in it, and we don't support the cannibal. Armie Hammer.
Yes.
But the Alfred Hitchcock movie adaptation of it is so beautifully done, and it is the only film that he ever got Best Picture for.
Oh my gosh! Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, can you tell I like it?
Yeah, wild. I'll check it out. I will. I'll get to it. I did love that Sister Holiday like just forced herself in as part of the investigation. And for most of the book, the whole police force was like, can you like stop messing with things? Like somebody get her out of here. And then at the end they were like, hey, so what do you think about this? Can you like go tell these people?
I get the sense that the fire investigator though a little bit like was using her.
Oh,
almost
for sure.
Like did you watch the first Knives Out movie?
Yes.
Like using her in the same way that he was using the girl.
Yeah. That's true. Super similar, I think. Read it. I'm not the kind of reader I gave it 5 stars. This is Project Hail Mary. And
it is what started her on her sci-fi journey.
I love a sci-fi journey. I will get to it, It's gonna happen. Project Hail Mary and Rebecca. I saw it from a mile away. I don't know. I don't remember. This is why I read book club books within 24 hours of the live show, because otherwise I'd be like, I don't know.
So do we want to talk about the whole like feminist underlay and the distrust of men?
Yes. Yes. What do you
That
got?
was really the theme of this book.
Yes.
Not
Something
seeking
that I love that
validation.
stuck out that Sister Holiday said at one point was like, she avoids saying a certain prayer because she's like, I don't ask men for forgiveness. Like I
I
only
literally have it tabbed. I
Oh
don't
yes.
often tab, but I like gave it a special tab so that I could highlight it. Is I refrained from joining in the prayer. I rarely said the Our Father. Though I loved its cadence, I begged only for Mary, only for women for forgiveness.
Yes. I love it. I really liked the nuance of Sister Holiday's faith and like being able to hold so many things like as truth for herself. Is like, I am a Catholic nun and I am like a queer feminist and I am tattooed and I smoke and I swear and I think fondly about having sex. It was like she has all of these things that I feel like so many folks in many religions draw very like clear lines between, and for her it was like, I all of this exists on the same plane and I'm still a very like in tune with my faith.
Yeah, because faith, like most things in life, is an extremely nuanced and personal journey. And I loved seeing that play out in her, and that she could be a nun, and yet when she talks about God, it's, I don't see some, man in the sky judging me. God is everywhere and in all things, which is not a typical Catholic sentiment.
No, she even talks about at one point like, oh yeah, my God's pronouns are they them because they like, my God is genderless. Like no God that does what my God does could have a gender. Like that is just like outside of like the realm of what I imagine them to be or something like that. And I'm like, that is, I fucking love that this Catholic nun in this story has that perspective, and in almost like a passing moment where it almost like addressing the reader as like, oh God, they did this, and then as an aside is like, oh yeah, by the way, I refer to God with they pronouns. It's like, awesome, great.
Well, and for your linguistic brain, so I studied ancient Near Eastern history in college, but as part of that, I did a biblical languages minor because the ancient Hebrew was a contemporary of a lot of those things. The Hebrew people are one of the cultures that I was interested in studying. So the Israelites, the Hittites, the Ugarites, the Sea Peoples, the Elamites, all of those folks, and they're all kind of based out of that Semitic background that you get in classical Hebrew. But if you read the Bible in some of the authors, not all of them, but some of the authors in both the Hebrew and the Greek and the Aramaic will use gender-free markers when referring to God or a deity. They don't refer to him as he.
Right.
It
Oh,
is
so
just God.
interesting. Yeah, yes. It's God.
Not all of the authors, because it's written by so many people and played around with. But if you read a lot of the original text, or as original as we can get, obviously, because we don't actually have original. But a lot of the authors use a gender-free expression. And in just talking about parables and some of those, it tends to be more gender-free language. And there was a big push in the late 90s, early 2000s, where a translator went in to retranslate the Bible without that masculine preference, that Western masculine preference, and Christians all over the world lost their mind because they're making a genderless Bible. But it was actually really accurate.
Right. Yeah. Oh, so wild. So interesting. Like, I love everything about that, from like linguistics and from like someone who was raised in like a religious environment and doesn't super identify with that anymore. It's like very almost like affirming that there does exist this nuance, and there are people that are still practicing and still super comfortable and devout in their beliefs, and are at the same time like making room for other things that they also believe, and it can all exist on one plane together, is like oddly healing for me. Do you know what I mean?
It's so hard, especially for American Christians, because I think Christian nationalism has done so much damage for so many years to not just people's journeys in faith, but the perception of faith and the culture of faith. So whereas I was raised by, a former pastor who was absolutely LGBTQ affirming, the community that I was in was not. So it's this environment that we've created, and I think we exist in that space so much as Americans, whether you are part of faith or not. It's how we identify evangelicals in general, or faithful people in general sometimes, that we don't see the nuance that exists in other Christian communities around the world too.
Yes.
And
I love
in
everything
New Orleans, where there's this blend of cultures.
Right. That, again, I just felt like New Orleans was,
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been the same story if it was told anywhere else. But something that I loved about the way that faith and religion and Christianity was talked about too is like it just is, and it's like an element of the characters. It's a belief of the characters. It like is a big factor into the setting and the unraveling of the story, but it's never pushed onto the reader of the story.
Yes.
which was very refreshing. And there's only really one other book that comes to mind that is so centered on Christianity and at the same time so distant from it, which was the Book of Longings by Sumut Kid, which I also like. Very, very different tone and storytelling of a book, different genre and everything, but similarly refreshing and healing in the way that it's like, let's talk about Christianity and also not need to make it into like a polarizing thing.
Yeah, because so much of our world currently is so polarized. But I think this does a really great job of showing the difference between faith and religion.
Yes. Yeah, that's such a good way of putting it. Yeah, I love it.
Because you see that she has faith. So did Sister Augustine, but hers was a little crazy.
A little different. We should talk about, okay, that reminds me. I do want to talk about the 4 nuns themselves. We had Sister Augustine, Sister Holiday, Sister Honor, and Sister Teresa. What was your take on the 4 of them as a whole?
Honestly, I really enjoyed the thorn in the side that Sister Honor was.
Yeah, I did too.
Like, she was that, like, because my mother grew up in a Catholic school, and she reminded me of my mom's stories about growing up with nuns, and I needed that. Everybody else was too beatific. I can't say that word. Sorry, it's Friday. But they were too gracious and kind and whatever. And here's this little shit ready to wrap people over the hands with the ruler and calling people out on all their sinning.
I know. She just was like, she felt like in my head, like the caricature that I kind of have someone who has little to no experience with nuns. It's like, in my mind, it was like Sister Honor checks out to what my stereotypes are, I guess. So then to kind of see her character arc was really interesting also, and not what I expected. So she was like, as an outsider, was like, oh, okay, status quo, and then was really nice to be proven wrong. But then we had Sister Augustine also, who was like, oh, okay, of course, like the calm, gracious, like a woman of God, who also had quite the character arc, obviously.
Yeah.
And then who is the other one? Sister
Teresa.
Bless her, like the little, like kind of like the sunshine nun who like spends her time gardening, and she's kind of like the whole.
With the mothers in the prison.
Yeah, like she's just like the happy-go-lucky one, and then she's the one who dies. Is like, oh God, like they all. Her. I really liked her. That one hit. That one hurt. But they all were so different.
So different. And I think we definitely needed Sister Honor to balance out all the good that was being projected at us. not accurate, but what was being projected at us. And she was a good foil to Holiday's sort of laissez-faire punk rock take on nunning.
Yes. There was a quote at some point where she says, Sister Holiday says, "I'm the first punk nun." And if I had been annotating, that would have been a big highlight. It's just such a good quote.
You can tell that when I started it a week ago, I started annotating, and then I picked it back up again yesterday and said, I don't have time for that.
That was my problem too. It's like, I read this in the last 24 hours. I did not have time to annotate. But there were quite a few lines that I very much enjoyed on like a paragraph sentence level.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think most of the things that I was highlighting were not necessarily like plot pieces or anything like that. I think it was mostly just quotes that I was really enjoying because I liked her style. I'm interested to see what this author does next because I liked her actual writing style. But one of the things I would notate is whenever I got a good clue, I did a little Blue's Clues paw print next to it.
No way.
Let me see if I can find one. I would do paw prints. But yeah, I think the only attempt upon reflection and talking about the...
Oh my gosh.
When we were talking about the sisters, I think the only attempt she tried to give us at suspecting Sister Augustine was so brief that it didn't register. And it's when Sister Holiday calls up her hometown to ask about the obituary for her father and mother and finds out that she lied about her mother.
Right. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, because as soon as she confronts Augustine with it, Augustine puts up a bit of a like, oh nope, and she immediately accepts it because that's her blind spot. She doesn't push because it's her blind spot.
That's right. Okay, yeah. So we had the lying about her parents, kind of, and then we had I don't know if this counts or not, but there's like was it about the burned blouse? It's one of the clues that was like set up to frame Sister Holiday, where then she goes right to Sister Augustine and is like, this happened, the police already suspect me, like I don't know how it's going to look if I go to them about this again. And Sister Augustine is like, you stay there, I'm going to go call the cops. And
you should tell them.
Yeah, I had this moment of like, is she going to tell them the truth though? Like, is she going to like pin something?
She did.
No, oh, right. It's like, what did she say? She's like, okay, the cops are on their way. It's like, well, what did you say?
Yeah, Holiday's spidey senses were definitely going off on that one, and she did not. Yeah. She did not confess.
Yes. Noelle and Sarah swap 5-star reads for a week. That sounds fun. We should do that. Yes. We should do that. I'm down.
Fully support this.
Yeah. I love, like, some of my favorite videos to watch are like reading friends' favorites, you know? So I'm always down to clown there. What did we miss before we go? Is there anything we haven't touched upon yet?
I mean, we didn't really talk about Augustine's particular brand of trauma, but I don't know that we need to.
I guess we didn't really talk about the ending either. Yeah, the whole it's my duty to send people to their eternal life.
Well, and again, in that feminist undertone, these men have come in and taken over my home and my practice and my worship, and God has told me to do justice, like to get justice against these men who have changed my way of life.
Yeah. It's very
definitely like a female rage.
Female rage, but like very unhinged. Like I am.
Yeah, I'm fine with unhinged female rage. She had her father's baby. She's allowed some unhinged female rage.
Oh yeah, I mean, set buildings on fire. Like, do what you gotta do for the unhinged rage. But about what one of the investigators said is like, oh, arson is control, revenge, or money. Is like, well, Augustine checks 2 out of 3 of those, maybe all 3. I don't know if she needs or is looking for the money.
Or is she trying to hurt the diocese in their pocket?
Oh yeah, someone else's money. True.
Yeah. It's not for her. She doesn't care about that, but she could hurt them.
No, you're right. It's controlling. It used to be her domain, and now she doesn't have the control anymore. So it's taking back the control. It's revenge on the men that are taking over, and the man, her father, that hurt her so deeply, and then the money of the diocese. You're right. Yeah, it's not her needing to have money.
She was content with her life. She just wanted those men out of the way.
Right. That's wild. Yeah, that feels like a connect the dots.
That's what we call foreshadowing.
That's what we call foreshadowing. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought
an hour ago where I was like, I don't know how that connects up again, but we got there.
And then like the caper aspect that we talked about, the Scooby-Doo aspect of it, they get this frail old nun in handcuffs, and then suddenly she disappears.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And is lighting herself on fire in the shed.
That was like the grown-up Scooby-Doo moment. It's like, it's not like you're pulling off a costume mask of the science teacher. It's the old woman nun has escaped her arrest and is gonna set herself on fire instead. Like, that's what, like, okay.
With it too, if it wasn't for that punk nun and your dog too, because the dog was there. Prince just shows up with the dog.
Yeah. Yeah, Sister Holiday is like, you get out of here, I'm pouring water on you. Like, she's the only one going down. That was quite the ending. Quite the ending.
And I think because she was worried, she was trying so desperately to set up Holiday, and then Prince got caught defacing a different church, the crypt, and was about to go down. I think she felt some guilt that he might go down for this crime because she had this preference for him.
Yeah, because
and this love of him, that's maybe why she went for that big lawyer and was there to give character witness for him. She went hard to defend him.
Well, and she said, like, if you like, we'll take him, he'll be a groundskeeper. So it was like she backtracked, not backtracked, but like she went and did as much as she could to make sure he was okay.
Yeah, but we see what you do to your groundskeepers, ma'am.
Yeah, exactly. Like, all right, next victim.
But like, arguably, the murders were all, well, the first murder, which required the second murder, was accidental. She did not mean to kill Jack. Jack just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, set himself on fire trying to put out the fire, and fell out the window.
Right, and then she didn't know the two kids were in there.
So... And then T knew that she had done this and was trying to get her to confess, so she had to go.
Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
I just don't know why the cat got killed. Do we believe that it just accidentally ate poison, or was she just trying to further frame or hurt Holiday?
See, that's a question mark too. Because they said, oh, she must have gotten rat poison.
And but Sister Augustine said that.
Oh, shit, you're right. Maybe it was like they planted the cat outside Holiday's room as like she's so deranged. Like there's even a dead cat. But I don't know what.
It was Augustine who is so deranged.
Right.
And who would do that to a little baby like this?
A little baby?
As soon as I picked him up, he started purring.
Oh my gosh.
Look at him. He's like,
little baby voodoo.
Like, why'd you pick me up? I want to be asleep.
So cute. You're making me.
I really expected you guys to go crazy at some point during this, and you didn't.
I'm sure as soon as we end stream, they'll be all over the place.
Oh yeah.
That's
they fully parkour, or they all decide that they want to nap right here. And I'll have all four of them. While I was trying to read, I was like, this isn't helpful, guys.
Of course. Well, thank you for reading this funky little mystery with me.
I do have one question, though.
Yes.
So if you look at the cover, it calls it a Sister Holiday mystery. Do you think that there's going to be another one? Is this going to be like Hercule Poirot?
Probably. That's the vibe that I got. Is she like a little investigator now? Like, maybe like kind of earned her stripes with like the law enforcement.
Yeah, who wanted to like be a PI with her.
Right. Did you also catch, so this is Gillian Flynn's new imprint.
Oh yeah, her new imprint.
And the science teacher's name was Rosemary Flynn.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
I was like a cute, I have to assume like that's not an accident. That's probably just like a little nod.
Well, isn't this the first book out of that imprint?
Yeah.
I love that you've now picked 2 first books for an imprint for Silly Goose this year.
It just kind of keeps happening on accident, and then I realized
Also
like, oh,
when you read
like brand new.
Yeah, because Unfairly Cute was also a first for an imprint.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. What else is this year? I think that's it though. I think the rest are pretty established, but yeah, it was fun that it happened twice. What's that reel that's like?
If I had a nickel.
For every time I'd have 10 cents, 2 nickels. Oh man. Do you have anything coming up that you want to plug before we go?
No, I just survived June as best as I could. So I'm just regrouping and resetting and going from there.
Yeah, I hear you there.
This month I'm trying, beyond Scorched Grace, obviously, I'm trying to do some reading on series that I've already started but haven't completed.
Need to do that.
That's kind of my focus this month. But I am playing around with some ideas for something later this fall, so stay tuned for that.
So fun. Very fun.
How about you? What's going on? Any big fun new pink or green reading vlogs, or what color are we doing next?
I know. So many things that I just need to like finish and put out there, but it's same. I mean, I just survived June. And now it's like putting things back together and hopefully getting some things out into the world. So we'll see.
Yeah, we had that little readathon going on.
We had just a silly little readathon that we did that was pretty involved. Yeah, we survived.
You did so much. I don't know how you kept all those numbers straight and waited, and
you should see my spreadsheet.
I would love to. I love a spreadsheet.
Oh my gosh, we by the end, it was like over, like close to 2,000 lines on my spreadsheet. That was
so much reading. What a fun! I was so excited to participate. So thank you for having me.
It was so fun.
So much fun. And go team.
It was so fun. Yeah, but I'm glad to have more time back in my week.
I bet. Okay, beverage check. What do you have?
I have okay. I have a LaCroix with a dented bottom, so it sits on the side. I have a Truly lemonade, and I have my water bottle. So we got the trifecta.
Nice. Out of reach because I've got the kitten, but I have some tea that I didn't finish. I made a Irish breakfast tea with milk earlier.
Nice.
That's what I like to drink when I read a mystery. And then a Diet Pepsi and a water. Yes,
the trifecta. Love it.
Oh, buddy.
Oh my gosh, so sleepy. So sleepy. Does what have to do with NetGalley?
Oh, the thing in the fall.
Oh. Fun. Love it. Okay, what do I got? Our July pick for Silly Goose Book Club. I just announced everything through the rest of the year, so I won't have to announce anything else until the new year. But our July read is Deep as the Sky, Red as the Sea. Deep as the Sea. No, Deep as the Sky, Red as the Sea, I think. It's a historical fiction / pirate fantasy. So that'll be a good time. And I'll see you probably the first week of August or so to talk about that one. And you should all follow Elizabeth and give her some love. Thank you so much for reading this book and discussing with me. It was so much fun. And for sharing your kittens with us. Just the perfect energy. Wow. Look at him.
Tiny baby
ragdoll. He's a little ragdoll. Oh, tiny baby voodoo. Yeah. All right. Thank you for reading with us. Always a delight. And we'll see you next time. Love you. Bye.